I'll do all the shtick in between, and you can just like focus on that. But then obviously, because I was doing crazy drumming, I was like, we're Pupil Slicer. Thanks everyone for coming out.
I have to
so
say,
unfit.
To give an outsider's perspective on that show, I didn't go to that show and I wasn't in the band at the time, but one of my very good friends, Slim Jim, James Humphreys went to that show, and he said, so I joined Pupil Slicer, and he went, Pupil Slicer, I saw them, and he was just sort of staring at me, and I said, well, what's the issue? And well, I wouldn't say it's bad, but it wasn't exactly right. And I was like, okay. And he went, the drummer was like out of breath and weird talking between the songs.
Welcome to the 43rd episode of the Cast That Ends Creation. I'm your host, Chris Deering. This is the show where I interview mathcore and mathcore adjacent bands and public figures. If you beautiful people in chat have any questions or comments, feel free to drop them in. I'll try to read them aloud. If you like to sub for $5, you get access to some exclusive emotes, as well as access to the interviews before they hit streaming services and YouTube. You can also subscribe for free with a monthly sub given to you from attaching your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch account. It's like taking $5 from Jeff Bezos' pocket and putting it into mine. If you're watching this on YouTube, listening to this in your car, and have no idea what I'm talking about, the show is first shown live on Twitch. Join us every Sunday and Wednesday, twitch.tv/thecast@ends-creation for the live cast. With all that out of the way, let me introduce our guest tonight who dropped their nasty debut, Mirrors, last Friday. Welcome in, Pupil Slicer. How's it going, guys?
Hello, it's good. Yeah, I'm Katie and I play the guitar and do the singing in Pupil Slicer. The others want to introduce what they do.
I'm Luke.
After you, Luke.
I'm Luke. I play that nasty ass slap bass in Pupil Slicer and shout, but not as much as Kate.
By process of elimination, I'm Josh, the drummer.
Luke, do you actually do slap bass, or are you just saying that it slaps?
Nah, listen to it.
Oh, dude.
Bing, sharp. It's angular.
Dude, that's fucking sick. That's fucking
It's
sick,
actually
man.
slapping.
So this is a crazy cool name for a band, Pupil Slicer. Did you get the idea after watching that scene in, I don't know how to even pronounce the movie, but Unchin Andalu, where the woman gets her pupils sliced with like the, whatever you call it, scalpel? Is that where that came from? No? You know the scene I'm talking about though, right? Where like guys got like the thing?
One of our music videos, yeah. We put that in the Lapel David video, but like, we've been asked that so many times, and honestly, it was just the funniest band name we could think of. And then afterwards, Josh was like, oh, that's like that bit in that film. And then we were like, oh, that's cool. If we'd have thought of it from that, we'd be like really artsy and cool and creative. But no, it was such a funny joke name.
You thought it was funny? Like, it's kind of messed up, isn't it? Like, this would be brutal.
Like, what's the most brutal, stupid, over-the-top, gore-grind band name you could think of? And we were like, Pupil Slicer. So we used it.
Alrighty, that works out. So you guys created your Facebook page in 2016. Is this about when you guys came together?
Yeah, I'd say like late 2016 is about when we started up. Yeah.
How'd y'all find each other?
It started off, I joined a post-black metal band, and me and the bassist of that band had like leftover grindy riffs that didn't fit in with it, so then we wrote like a song and came up with the name Pupil Slicer. Thought it was really funny. Ended up doing a whole EP, and then we were like, oh, we need drums for this. So then we got Josh, who was the drummer in the post-black metal band we were in, to do it, and then we needed bass, so we got the other guitarist of that band. So we used all the members of that band, rearranged them, ended up doing the first EP, then the other two quit. It was left just me and Josh left with the project, and we were like, well, we're getting shows, let's just do what we want and stuff. And then we found Luke on joinmyband.com.
Tell him the story, Kate. Tell him the story.
Okay, so Luke was the first one to apply when I got an ad saying we need a bassist, and I had to look at his Facebook, and it was like all genty stuff, and he had dreads and some beers in his profile picture, and I was like, this guy's not for us. He's not going to turn up to practice. He's into his gen. He's not into what we're doing, like, as stuff. So and then we didn't actually get any other applicants.
Did you not? Did you not get anyone else?
Like two, 3 months later, I was like, "Hey, dude, here's the songs. Do you want to learn them on like a Tuesday?" And then on Thursday, he came and jammed with us, played everything perfectly, and we were like, "Oh, this is an instant fit." And then we were like, "We're playing a gig tomorrow. Do you want to do that?" So he played that gig with a music stand on stage, reading stuff.
No way, that's crazy.
Yeah, like 3 days after I'd sent him the songs for the first time. So Luke's he's pretty good at the bass, the old slaps.
We were a lot more like
That was when
grindy
it was
then,
me,
to be
yeah.
fair. I think it'd be impossible now, but
Yeah.
still, that was a pretty good like test, and you passed, Luke.
It was,
So,
thanks. I mean, it was a good test of sight reading chromatics at about 200 BPM.
Yeah.
Sure.
like, in a really dingy venue where you probably
Yeah.
couldn't even see anything anyway.
Yeah. There was this punk band that played called, I think they were called Snakes. They were like a 2-piece. And the guitarist was just like, "You're reading music. This is insane. I'm not that comfortable with it." And I was like, "Yeah, it's all good, bro. I met these guys 2 days ago."
So you guys came from a black metal background and a gent background. What made y'all want to do grindcore?
I mean, it was sort of well, we all like various things. I think from the start, well, it started off with just like we had funny. I don't even know what the riffs are. Like, I'm not super in. I was only just getting into metal when we started. Like, I'd only been listening to metal for like a year or two, so I don't really know the distinction with subgenres and stuff. It's just riffs.
When did you start listening to metal?
2015.
Oh,
Maybe.
Jesus. That's crazy.
Yeah, the first metal band I listened to was Death Heaven.
Death Heaven are a metal band.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, that's why I joined the post-black metal band, because I was like, I want to do something like Death Heaven. But yeah, we just had like riffs. I wanted to do stuff like Converge and Nails, and then the other guy wanted to do stuff like Carcass, and that's sort of the basis of the sound we had on that first EP. And then after that, that guy left, and I was like, I'd always wanted to do more mathcore stuff because I'd gotten really into Converge and Dillinger and those sorts of bands. And then Josh was really into Rolo Tomasi.
That's a sick band.
Met halfway in the middle and just were like, well, we were like, we want that to be our core focus, do more stuff like that, but at the same time not just do that. Like, I think what we like about those bands is they don't limit themselves. Like Rolo Tomasi will have like really electronic stuff, atmospheric stuff, as well as like the heavy bangers, and the same with Dillinger will be like doing pop songs. Converge will do their like 7-minute post-metal, post-rock songs. So I think we wanted that approach of like, just do what we want, and hopefully it doesn't sound too all over the place. And
is it worth? I was going to say, Kate, like the reason that I sort of tapped them up was the sell of the band was grindcore primarily, and I mean I'm wearing an Obscene Extreme t-shirt, right? So love me a bit of grind, and at that time I was playing in an instrumental band. A kind of intervals, monuments, kind of posty gent band, which is obviously really hard work. And I thought, yeah, I can join this band and just mindlessly attack the top 2 strings with so much fuzz on it, and just get really pissed and shout. And then I joined, and we did that for a bit, and then Kate went. Well, you guys can actually play all the madness that I'm going to write now. So we're re-pivoting towards being a technical mathcore band. Like, for fuck's sake, that's not the reason I joined this band.
so I tricked
This
you.
band,
Yeah, and by the way, I mean, if we can still do a cover of Heartwork,
Oh yeah.
other Carcass stuff, I would most definitely be up for that.
That would be sick to hear. I would agree that you guys definitely started out more of like straight up, like not necessarily straight grindcore, but it was definitely more grindcore leaning, like more of the old school like Napalm Death kind of thing, mixed with a little dose of Dillinger, and over time it gradually got more math laden. You all, like in your new one, you have a bigger sludgy presence, I would say, and especially your last track sounds almost completely different from all your other stuff because you got actual melodies in there and black metal tinge and stuff. You even have like leads, which is really weird to hear in grindcore.
The only solo on the album.
I'm sorry, what?
The only solo on the album's on that song.
Right. Yeah. So I feel like this must have been one of your last songs that you wrote, right?
Yeah, that was I think the last song. We had the first 11 done, and we were thinking of doing the album with that. We were like, we want to put another one. So Mirrors, A More Fun Than Television was going to be the ending track. And me and Josh were sort of working away, chipping away at this collective unconscious over time. Like we've been jamming out parts of it. And we were like, the last time we jammed it, we were like, this is it. We've got to do something with this. So I just recorded it on my phone while we were jamming, and then then later on at my computer assembled those recordings of the jam into the song, and then we used that song. But yeah, I was really happy with that, and I think we're going to definitely try to do a bit more in that direction going forward.
That's what I was going to ask, if that was the future. It really reminds me of the new Fuck the Facts album. I assume you guys are like digging that one, right?
I hadn't heard them until people started comparing them to us. I think sounds like Luke's heard it, but I hadn't heard it until people were like, the Pupil Slicer's like this because it's weird grindcore.
So you guys did 2 splits in your career with Death Goals and Sense Offender. Are these like your best band friends?
Do you want to talk about Death Goals and then I'll talk about the Sense Offender thing?
Yeah. Death Goals were at the first gig we ever played. We just ended up playing with another mathcore band somehow. And it was like, so we didn't know any of the other bands on that bill. It was literally like one of those ones where you sign up to play a gig and they just put 4 random bands together. We had like a indie rock band. There was like a alt pop sort of thing. Then us and Death Goals. And we
best lineup.
We were both like, wow, you guys are sick. And they were like, wow, you guys are sick. Let's do something together. And then we ended up doing a split using that. The songs on those splits though were all like sort of leftovers. So on both splits were sort of leftovers from when we were writing the EP, because Sophie had been finished about the same time, but we hadn't learnt it to put it on the EP. And then Spectral and Crusher were also had been written by the time we played that, by the time the Death Goal split came out. And then when we recorded Spectre and Crusher, the whole album had been written already. But I was like, I want to release the album. Because with the older songs, I was like, this isn't what I want the band to sound like. This isn't where I want us to go. But they're still decent songs. And the other 2 managed to convinced me that we should track them and record them, so we just like did them in a day and got them released, so we'd have some content instead of like a 4-year gap between the first EP. And because every time I keep writing stuff and then being like, oh, I don't want to release what we've done here because I've already started on the next thing. Like when the album was coming out, I'm like, I'm already halfway done with like the second album. This stuff's boring. But I think that's the endless thing.
Not to just totally dispose of the 2 songs that she made.
Yeah, I wanted to just trash Spectre and Crusher and not release them.
These are good. You're like,
are you like I am, where you think that your older material is just like not even close to what you're doing now, and you don't even really want to talk about the old stuff?
Yeah, I think my problem with the album, like everyone's favorite songs on the album are like Husk, Wounds Upon My Skin, Worthless. Those are like really accessible, like cool songs that people are really into. And I can't stand those songs because we play them live for like 3 years. But now we're gonna have to play them live more. And I think in that context, with more people like being there to enjoy them, I think it'll be really cool. But like, I think I killed them for myself because we played them for so long live, and like just hearing them that many times, they lose all the magic. And now all the songs that are my favourites are just the ones we've never played live, just whether or not they're like the best songs. But yeah, it's an interesting one. Sense Fender we just like met on. I think I really liked them. I saw like Christian at Mathcore Index share their first EP, and I was like, these guys are sick, and they're from the UK, and then just messaged them, was like, do you want to do a split?
But then we kind of cemented that, right? Because then we played that show with them, and we played up in a venue in North London called the DIY Space, which is kind of a cool venue because it's like a communal space that has like a bar, and then it's on an industrial lot, so it's quite big. And then there's, I believe, like artist studios. There's a whole kind of complex thing. Obviously, going to North London's never a pleasant experience, being South London myself. But yeah, we were playing with Sense Offender, and they drove from Scarborough, which I know to Americans, like driving maybe 6 or 7 hours for like one show is fine. But driving from the far like northeast coast down to London to play that show with like 10 people there was a lot. Was a lot of commitment. Who headlined that show? Was that Hexus?
Was it Hexus? I think it was Hexus. We played with Hexus quite a lot.
Yeah, they're a great.
Love Hexus.
They tour like the madman, and also he played the band.
They were doing like a 120 date tour. We could have like played with them at the start and the end of the tour, like half a year apart, and we would have like been. For them, they'd just been going. Like.
There was also a band on that who you'd probably like as well from the kind of math hardcore vibe called Harrowed.
Oh, Harrowed is sick.
Yeah, they're like a 3-piece, and I give them a shout out because they're down from where I'm based in Kent, and the guy in it has a studio and stuff, and he records a lot of the local Kent hardcore bands that are starting out and stuff. So yeah, Harrods are a good band from Kent.
I just wrote them down. I'm gonna have to check them out. Yeah,
they're good, man. Recommend that. And it was like Harrods, Sense Offender, Hexus, and Pupil Slicer. So, you know, that's that like 2018, 19?
That was an 18 gig, I think.
2018 Mathcore Flame.
Dude, that sounds sick, though. That lineup would be awesome. Since you guys know Sense Offender, dude, get them to put out a full length. Like, I'm waiting for that.
They're working on it. I think. I think they're going to do I was going to say they were going to do another split, but that They Live We Sleep one just came out, so I think that was it.
Didn't they do one with Geist? Didn't they do one with Geist?
No, they share a member with Geist.
Ah, okay.
That's what you're thinking of. Geist.
I mean, it's noteworthy because Andy, who's in Sense Offender, did he mix and master the thing?
He mixed and mastered that split, so yeah.
Because it sounds like the mixing and mastering of that's pretty decent. Like
we just like went in and DIY recorded it like at a studio. It's not DIY, is it? It sort of is, like because we did it at a studio in one go, and then just sent it off to this guy, and he mixed and mastered it, and then we're good to go.
And then the only physicals that are available of that were just made by was someone in Sharp Teeth Grinder, or was it one of their mates? Anyway, some guy in England, just made the tapes.
He just emailed us and was like, "Do you want tapes of your split?" We were like, "Yeah," and he was like, "What do you want? What do you want for it?" And he was just like, "I'll just make them you and send you them for free, and then he'll make some."
Right there, man.
And I was like, "Yeah, cool, that's sick." I mean, it took us like a year and a half to sell all those tapes, maybe 2 years. They only just sold like recently, and then like the album tapes, which instead of 20 of, we had 50 of. Those all sold out before the album came out, and now we're on a second run of them, and they're like 10 down on those as well. So for some reason the new material's going a lot quicker, but it's cool having the older stuff.
So there's a lot of love happening in the chat right now for you guys. Cricket Slam says, such a solid release. Where was it? Carlos Pets Dogs, hey guys, the debut's amazing. Wheeler Dealer, oh hell yes, Pupil Slicer album is sick. People are loving your stuff. So let's talk about the new one a little bit. You just talked about the recording process for your split, where it's just you send it off to a guy, he mixes and masters it. For this one, you guys had separate people recording the drums, the bass, the vocals. A separate person mixed it, a separate person mastered it. Just real quick, Mike Malin, I'm not sure how to pronounce it. What was it? Malian?
Mike Malian.
Okay, yeah, of Monuments doing the drums. Adam C. Taylor, is he the film composer? Who's this guy?
No, Adam C. Taylor. Adam C. Taylor is the mastermind and one of my best friends. He's in a band called Everest Queen, and they seriously kick a lot of ass. I've played shows with them. They're kind of like Mastodon, Neurosis, Sleep, but with a proggy edge. But they're amazing. But anyway, check them out. But good research, man. Shout out.
Well, all this is on your Bandcamp. So, for vocals, you had someone at another studio recording them. Then you sent it off to Pedram Valiani of Frontier at Outlier Sound to mix it, and he sent it off to Brad Boatwright at Audio Siege to master it. Like, this is a huge chain in the recording process of like different people. Like, why did y'all go through all these links, and what was it like working with this many people, where before it was just you guys going to one studio?
We had no idea.
I think it was like, I don't know. We wanted to do it in a certain way that would let the sort of album be the best it can be. Probably logistically, it wasn't planned to the best, but
logistically, it wasn't planned.
But economically, I think it was driven by like trying to do it cheaply, right? Rather than like spending 10 grand in a studio or whatever. But go on, Josh.
Yeah, we didn't want to do it all in a studio at once. It's really expensive, but we wanted it all to be the best it could be. So, like, I think Josh was saying about the drum process.
Yeah, I think we wanted to sort of do it with Mike because he recorded, funny enough, that gent band that Luke was talking about. He recorded the drums for the drummer in that, and they sounded really great. And Mike's someone I sort of always looked up to. Weirdly, he was in the year above me at school, but we didn't actually know each other. But I'd always really loved Monuments because it was sort of that first band that I saw where I was like, man, I could do this. I love metal drumming, and like he was like a bit of an inspiration because he was just above me in school. I sort of went to some of his shows, like supporting like really crazy bands like Periphery and stuff like that. So it was a really cool experience recording with him and getting to know him a little bit more personally. And it was a really stressful but also fun 4 days. Me and Kate went and recorded it all, and it was a good laugh. But I think the guitar tracking was the next thing that happened, and that didn't happen for like months after it. So I probably could have like spent a bit more time like learning the material and stuff because it was quite a mammoth task recording this album. Like when we
were all like broke
before.
when we were doing it as well, though. Like, so that was the main thing of like we did a bit and then we're like, let's save money to do the next bit.
Yeah, I just bought my house and stuff. Yeah, I was pretty broke.
So Prosthetic didn't put up money for you guys to record everything? Y'all did it and then went to them?
Yeah, we sent it to them like 3 days after we got the masters back, and then that same day, like an hour later, Steve was like, "This is sick, I love it. Let me show it to everyone else." And then within a week, we'd been signed.
Dude, that is sick. That's crazy.
Yeah, we came to it with them like with it fully formed.
That's crazy. So. Yeah, who did the guitars then? How'd y'all record the guitars? Because y'all don't mention that.
So I did them at home here on this sofa.
Oh, nice.
I just plugged into the computer and just played away, and also learned the songs while doing that because I hadn't learned how to play them until I tracked them. I also like changed half the parts, like the solo on Collective Unconscious I wrote while I was tracking it because I was just like, I'm going to put a thing here. There's loads of stuff on the like none of it, like half of it doesn't match the tabs. I've then had to go back and change the tabs to match what I ended up actually tracking in the end. But yeah, it was I think it was sort of after Josh, because I was doing that at home, I couldn't think of a way to do it, and I had to eventually like move my whole computer into the spare room to track so I could use my speakers and stuff. And I DI'd it all here, and then for Luke's bass I went up to Luke's, and Adam tracked it on his laptop at Luke's house. So that was all sort of DIY as well, just DIYing.
Had
And
to sell it in the front room.
Yeah.
It's on my dining table. Yeah, Kate's standing next to me going, "No, that's wrong. Da 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 da, not da 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 da."
For Josh Henley, I'm surprised they're still in the band and haven't tried to murder me yet. So I was quite a control freak when we were recording, but it was worth it in the end. I think getting the because like Josh would play the part he'd originally learned perfectly, and I'd be like, "That's sick," and that was perfect. But what if you did this instead, and then get him to do another take?
I think like one example I can think of is like mirrors are more fun, and television has a lot of more sort of improvised drumming where it can be a lot more loose. And for that, we tried so much different stuff. And I think the end of it actually, where the drums are just really wild and sort of random, we just recorded loads and loads of stuff and sort of put it all together sort of in that way. So I think it was definitely worth. I think it was definitely worth being like meticulous, because I listen back to that segment now and I'm really proud of it. So it's definitely is worth sort of sometimes, you know, pushing each other's buttons a little bit, but in the with their best interests, because it sort of gives you something you're proud of at the end of it.
Right, you're all pushing each other to do your best.
Yeah,
it really shows. It really shows, honestly.
Yeah, and then I just went to I had to record the vocals in an actual studio because I didn't have a way to do that at home. And then that's how Cam from Suffer, his feature, ended up on the album, actually, because he works at the satellite studios where I recorded the vocals. And while I was recording Martyrs, he was like doing joke low, because I used to be in a black and death metal band with him, and he was doing like lows over the song while I was tracking it to have fun. And then I was like, "Those are sick, do you want to record them?" Because that part was originally for Luke, and he was like, "Yeah, sure." And I was like, "Well, here's the lyrics written down, I'll go in the side and record you doing vocals." We just swapped places in there.
That guy Cam, his band is called Sufferer.
Yeah, they're really cool. Black and Death.
What does he call it? Like war metal?
I don't know.
It's like, you know, really angry and kind of death metal guys wearing bullet belts playing.
They're very trad.
Yeah, playing like with leather jackets. Yeah, playing like the most simple sort of angry riff.
It's not simple. I mean, they kicked me out because I couldn't play the parts when I was in the band. I also was busy I started doing this project, so that's why they kicked me out. But we're in good terms. I mean, like Karen recorded vocals and did a guest spot, so we're all cool. Should I answer the question in chat now, or wait till questions later?
Let's do it. What's your favorite or most crucial part of your signal chain?
I'm terrible with tech, so my signal chain is literally tuner, whammy pedal, overdrive.
Okay. What do you use for your DAW?
Reaper, I think.
Oh yeah, everybody uses Reaper. It's awesome.
I don't know how to use it. I get loads of latency and stuff. I'm not good at recording at home. I much prefer playing with the real amp, but my amp's at Josh's in London, and I haven't played it for like 2 years. But yeah, it's because it's easier to move to gigs if we've got it there in London than I haven't got a car or anything, so we just leave it there. But I guess the most important pedal is the whammy, because that's the only one that does anything. The others are like just like I use a Memory Man. I'm looking at my pedal board. I can just show my pedal board right here. So I've got tuner. Nice. I've got a loop station, which is just samples for live, so like interludes and stuff. Whammy ricochet, that just goes up an octave. Overdrive, and then I've got a reverb, which I just put on for like the ending of Mirrors and Collective, and then a delay, which is only used to make noise between songs.
A lot of things for noise and stuff between songs.
Yeah, so the only actual things are like whammy, and then there's a reverb on like one section, and an overdrive. which goes with my 6505. I use that as my amp.
Not that anyone cares.
Not that anyone cares.
No,
about-
I was going to say no, wait. Guitarists care.
Yeah.
I was going to say not that anyone cares about my signal, but I basically just use a Sans amp and go
That's
in.
it. Yeah.
But that being said,
We're not a techie
a lot of
band
bass
in
players
terms of-
are on the dark glass hype, but my sort of take on that is that it all just sounds the same, and it's not a fantastic bass tone. I might get flames for that by people, other bassists, but I mean, maybe it's because I'm cheap and they cost 250 quid. But
It's fine, Luke. AO Psych said that they
He
care.
says he cares about your signal, so.
Yeah.
AO Psych.
So Josh, what's the most important part of your signal train? The drumstick, I assume.
I don't know what anyone's talking about. I was zoned out. Sorry.
I would say that because the album has gone bad, I've made a personal pledge, and I have said this to the band, and I'll say it now.
To buy a pedal.
I'll actually get a proper pedal board because I've got a delay pedal. I've got like a Keytron Auto Wah, so I can be Bootsy Collins and Justin Chancellor.
Have you used those? Not with us yet.
Well, yet I haven't used. I did. You know what? I used them a couple of times. Like
Didn't we jam with the?
like like that. I'll bring a bit of that and do some delay, get a couple of different distortions, a compressor, which is very important.
I should get a compressor for
Because
clean.
my slap sounds crap sometimes through the direct from the DI into the desk. So and then the dream is to get a Galen Kruger head, and we're like singing.
That would
then
be sick. So
that's the dream setup. Talk to me in 2 years, and that might be it.
So you mentioned guest vocals. You also got Carson Pace to be on a song, and I'm not sure who Gas Rizzardi is, but I know that's a sick first name.
Great.
Yes, that's it.
But that's quite a weird one because I used to play in a deathcore band before all the Pupil Slicer stuff called Witness the Darkness. This was literally 6 or 7 years ago, and we actually had Gas as our vocalist. But it's only 5 or 6 years later when we started playing in Pupil Slicer. I think we randomly got a gig with his band.
We bumped into him first, didn't we? At the Employed to Serve Warmth of a Dying Sun launch show, I think.
That's how it happened.
First time we've seen him in years. It's the first time I met him.
Yes.
Is that his real
we
name?
were in a
Gas?
Yeah.
It's Italian.
Yeah, he's Italian.
That's crazy.
Isn't it long? It's like gaseous. It's like
Gaseous, yeah.
Alrighty.
I
That's a crazy
saw
name.
Gas at a gig. I saw Enslaved and High on Fire. What a show!
Dude,
and he
right?
was just there in the pit during Enslaved, and I was like, "Yes, Gas, I've heard the vocals. They're very good."
But yeah, he in our deathcore band, he had the craziest vocal range. And I think we were talking about guest spots, and I was like, if we're gonna get someone in for this absolute massive breakdown at the end of the song Mirrors, I was like, Gas would be a perfect fit for that. And he came to the studio. I think it took him 2 hours to get to the studio. He came for an hour and just absolutely smashed it out, and then left. And was like, "See you later, mates," that sort of thing. And now he's on the album, so it was a really cool feature. And yeah, I really like that one.
But yeah, his band are called Grey Brain, just to be clear, and also just to be clear, they're awesome. And this kind of really I Hate God kind of sludge.
Oh, okay.
Angry sludge and doom.
But they the guitarists use loads of effects, and to the point where it's kind of nauseatingly fuzzy. And they do a cover of Electric Funeral by Sab, and it's
I feel like Thou's a good comparison for them.
Huh? You got a better comparison?
Thou.
I don't know Thou.
Sort of very angry doom.
Angry, yeah, that's a good shout actually, because they're not just like a doom, it's very visceral, pissed off, actively pissed off doom, as opposed to sort of let's get really baked and wear some flares sort of doom.
So my favorite song of you guys, I cannot pronounce the name. I'm going to give it a shot though. La Pelle du Vide? Is that?
I think so. I don't know. I'm not French.
The one where you do clean singing. It's so good, and you only do it on this one song. But there's a couple of spoken word passages. But yeah, why don't you do more clean singing?
I didn't think I could sing. I was only going to get Carson to sing that bit, and then I ended up doing some backing vocals there, and they actually came out all right. There was a lot of experimentation with vocals because basically I've got no idea how to do vocals, and I was really worried about all of it, like the spoken word, sassy bits and stuff. Like I was gonna just take them off and do them like screams because I wasn't sure if they'd work. But then I tracked them and was like, these worked. And then the clean bits, because there's some cleans on Husk as well, on like the bit with the pinch harmonics that's all slow before the breakdown at the end. And hi Reva, hope you're well. So all in all, like half the songs on the second album are gonna have clean singing. Now I know I can do it.
Nice.
So,
It's getting lessons.
Sorry?
You've had lessons, no?
Sorry?
A few lessons.
Have you had lessons?
Yeah, I've been getting singing lessons and stuff. So
Really? That's awesome.
hopefully they'll, going for more like the Dillinger choruses and stuff.
And also, wasn't the like sassy vocals sort of an on the spot thing? That
That was
in the
an on
studio?
the spot thing. No, I'd had an idea to do them. No, it's the whispered vocals on Worthless. Those are the ones that I didn't want to do. I couldn't find a way to get it as dynamic because, like, if I shouted it when it was all quiet and then shouted it when it was loud, it sort of came across the same. So I was like, I need to do something. So I did like whispery things and like recorded 3 tracks, and it's like bouncing around the 3 tracks. There's a lot of cool things.
Another part that I really liked in that song was the glitchy guitar line. That it's like an actual beat. Like a lot of other bands, they do the glitchy thing, and it's just like this random flutter of like sounds. But you guys made a little beat out of the glitchiness. So was that something that y'all like actually wrote in, or is that like something that came during production? That
was production. That was Ped's like finding ways. I think there was something like there was a lot of annoying things with like my guitar has an Evertune and I don't know where to get it serviced, and it's a bit buzzy and has really bad sustain. So a lot of so you can't really play pinch harmonics on it because they die out in like half a second, and you can't really hold notes. Like single notes high up, so that was an issue of like the note had died off and it went to silence on the guitars, so Ped put that there to cover it. And there was problems like I didn't want to put mirrors on the album because I was really upset that the pinch harmonics didn't work and because I couldn't make them work on the guitar and stuff, and it was really annoying. Like my other guitar's fine. I only just realized I should have just tracked those pinch harmonics on another guitar. And
I was gonna say, like, why not just do that? Like,
I don't know.
I think it was towards the end.
Yeah,
it was towards the end of the recording, and we were all sort of burnt out.
Yeah, we like ran out of ideas. But
on another note, I think we're sort of planning to have more of a close relationship writing with Ped because we're planning to do the LP2 of him as well. And on this one, it was more we wrote everything, and the glitchy stuff was more of an afterthought. But everything he put in and sort of we suggested or he came up with, we really loved. So maybe there might be a little bit more creative stuff like that.
We're gonna try and go with like the demos to him first up, and then be like anything like take out sections, tell us what to do, rearrange stuff if needed. Like let's just make this as good as we can together. And I think having that external producer in there,
more of a traditional producer role.
Yeah.
Oh, that's sick, man. So the bloody screams that you do, and I know it's at least the first and last track. I'm not sure if you did it in the middle or not, but like where everything's silent and you're just like screaming. Was that something that y'all like planned on doing, or was that another thing of production?
That was
you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, like the quiet bit in Martyrs with like the SBN screams. That was just sort of that. Just did that in the studio. That wasn't planned or anything.
It comes across really good. It's good at like building that tension. And then,
it's weird. Like every track took so long to track. Like because I can't do vocals properly, and I'm getting lessons, so I can. But like I burn my voice out after like an hour or two, so it took like 2 months to record all the vocals for the album. But for some reason, the collective's almost entirely one take on vocals and is the first take, just because of the emotion on it, and that song means the most to me personally. So I sort of I went in there. I think the first like bits at the start before the song really starts going were like separately done and layered, but then everything else I just sort of did a take going through it, and I ended up crying in the booth at the end, and we were like,
Jeez.
that's the one, we can't do that again, so just use that. And it's not a perfect performance by any means, it's not what I'd want it to be, but I think the emotion there's more important, and I think that makes for a better song, having it like that version of it. And
Wow.
I'm really happy with how the vocals came out in that last track.
That's crazy, man. Like, just thinking about that's gonna make it hit a lot more harder, like, for me next time. Like, thinking about that, that's all, like, all your real emotion coming out into it. Speaking of emotion, your lyrics seem to deal with depression and suicide. Is this something that you actually struggle with, or you're just trying to tell stories?
I think it's more personal issues, but I probably don't want to get into that sort of stuff. That's
Okay.
right.
Okay, that's cool. That's cool.
But yeah, this is a very personal album. I think I tried to talk about, so like there's a lot of stuff drawing on personal experience, but at the same time, you don't want to just make it really personal. I don't want it to be too obvious about things. There's a lot of obfuscation of like also telling stories at the same time, like Interlocutor. I don't even know how to pronounce that, and I called a song it. But, that, whilst like it's coming from like a personal place, it's also like I'm trying to tell a story in that song at the same time. And a lot of that's the case with a lot of things where like I'm also trying to put multiple layers of meaning, so make it vague enough that someone listening can like read the lyrics and take their own conclusion.
On the lyrics, there was I don't know what reviewer it was, because we've had one of the many of the kind people that have reviewed the album. I remember years ago when you started writing these, you said to me your kind of loose concept was that there's like a sort of back and forth with two voices, one being the captive or the abused, and the other being like the power. And and then you use these two different tenses to sort of have that conversation throughout the album. And I think definitely one of the interviews, or it's like someone picked up on that, and they commented on it. And I just thought that was really impressive that they picked up on that, and they've really looked at
gone in depth in the lyrics.
No, impressed. It was impressive. But I thought I'd share that with people listening, because that was kind of the initial.
There is like an element of that.
Because it's like, Kate, I've written all these lyrics about Dune, like the book Dune. Kate's like, I don't know if it's quite going to work for this release, Luke. So maybe the next album is going to be a Dune concept album, and plus, Dune should have come out by then, so the market will just be so right.
Yeah, I think, and also an important thing is like, if you listen to a song, like if you think of like your favorite songs and like the lyrics and stuff, you can find lyrics that you really connect to and you really enjoy and like really speak to you. But that's probably like nothing like what the artist intended when they wrote those lyrics. Like you're pulling your own meaning from it when you're reading them and listening to it. Unless you go and like search for ages to find out exactly what that song's meant to be about. So I think you've got to write it with an element of like having it so that people can get multiple meanings. It can apply to multiple things. So while I've got my own personal meanings with songs, someone else can have their things and then find something really meaningful in that. So I think that's sort of the approach I went with.
I think it definitely comes across that way. Like I can sort of look at the lyrics from an outsider perspective, and I think you do have a talent for like vocalizing more universal feelings than a lot of other sort of lyrics I've sort of read and stuff, because it is a hard skill to sort of vocalize and put down sort of things that relate to people on a general level than sort of saying exactly what's happened and these experiences have come from.
Very true. I just want to remind chat, you guys can drop questions, comments, anything. Let's move on to your artwork. We've got the album art up on screen now. Who did it?
Nick, our friend, well, again, that gym band that was discussed, which is called Cravassian, if anyone wants to check it out.
You've got all the band names, man. You just know everything.
Cravassian, that's my band with Nick. Nick Povey did the artwork.
Okay.
He does lots of collages, and he's a good friend of ours and a very talented guy.
I saw his Instagram. It looks really sick. He does a lot of good art.
Yeah, he did the collage for the Sense Fender split and the one for Lapel de Vida, the single. Yeah.
So maybe we'll get Nick to do the next one. I don't know, but he does really great artwork.
I think like this one was already made, and I think we were looking through stuff, and I can't remember
This
if it
one
was a
he just
conversation
he linked
between
it to us
all
and
of
was
us.
like, "This will be sick." Like he linked it. I wasn't keen on the original image at first, and then like it sat with me a bit, and then like I looked back at it and I was like, "I want to use this for the cover."
I remember like looking at it and thinking that is the album cover. Like I had more that feeling. I just was like, yeah, that's it, sort of thing. I could just see it. It just struck me as a really striking image, and
I think maybe you convinced
just
me that one.
yeah. I don't know. I can't remember exactly how he spoke about it, but I remember just thinking like that.
I think once I'd like played
strong
around.
image.
I think once I played around with it, squared it up, put the text on it, and the white square and stuff. Because I think that I got that idea from like Dan from Mastiff was saying like he'd help with the cover of Sweet Eats It, and their covers have that sort of like very bold square sort of thing on it, and I quite like that being like anger and breaking it up and like the glitchy strips through it and stuff. So I think I then went and used that and did all the layout for the LPs and the tapes and stuff.
It definitely fits y'all's sound.
Yeah.
I encourage people to check Nick's stuff out. Like the guy sometimes just uploads him like spitting bars for like 10 minutes, and then also plays drums. He tells me he's got an electronic album to put out. Of like lo-fi ambient music or whatever, like Godspeed worship. And then equally, throughout lockdown, I've been working on an instrumental kind of project with Nick, sequencing drums. And that's kind of like Devil Sold His Soul, miserable sad boy, post-hardcore. And I mean, we've lined up, there's another math band from the UK called Lurin, who are really cool. They're from up north. I think they're from Manchester.
A sick band. You
know them? Yeah. So they're from Manchester. And I think he's in a couple of days, he's booked some studio time to go and do vocals on it. So
that's
be a little slicer. That's a little exclusive. I'm joking.
I didn't know about that. That's cool.
Yeah, so
maybe this can be the next side project that takes off and overtakes you.
That's how we're done.
So
Thanks for having us.
So you guys did 3 music videos. I'm gonna be playing them while we're talking about them. Who did the music videos? Was it one person like helping y'all with all of them, or did y'all have multiple people?
Chronologically, I think Lapel was the first one we did, and I recorded quite a lot of our shows with like decent camera I had, and then we sort of went into this first lockdown in the UK. And that's when we sort of knew we were signed and we were going to release that first single as a sort of announcement that we're on the label. And then it's only later we sort of announced the album properly, even though it was ready. But we were like, what can we do with this footage? Like, it's a bit... I had maybe like lots of different angles, and Kate had a few angles and stuff off of her phone. And we ended up sort of just contacting a guy called Art of the Glitch, who did like videos for like Solar Jesus and a few other people and more commercial stuff, and we sent all the footage off to him, sort of synced to the track. Just going to testify, it was pretty close to the recording, even though I don't use a clip, so we were lucky there.
Yeah, it was pretty much.
We were synced up quite well, but yeah, we sort of sent it off to him and got it back, and we were really happy with that one. And we also added the Surrealist film in as well, as a little sort of homage to the name, and we thought it worked quite well with the lyrics as well. So that's how that first one come about.
What is that film from? Or the Surrealist film from?
Don't make me pronounce it.
Oh, is that
It's
the one I was
film we
talking
took-
about?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I've never actually seen it. I've just seen that one scene with like slicing the people or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, I might need to check that out. Because that footage is sick with like the ants coming out or whatever, or the
Yeah.
spiders. I'm not sure what that is.
I actually studied that at university, so that's when Kate was saying like, oh, when we were sort of talking about how the name came about, I sort of knew of that film because it is like a really, in film canon anyway, it's really famous. It's like Salvador Dali.
So maybe, Josh, on the next one we can put like the Odessa steps in.
Oh yeah, maybe go even further with it.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is.
Yeah, I don't either.
There's a famous like Russian film from the 20s or the 30s about.
It's the one where they riot, isn't it?
Yeah, it's
I'm
about
thinking of a different
it's about the October Days Revolution prior to the proper revolution in 18, and like it's about the one battleship, the Potemkin, and there was like a riot on that ship, and they took it over, and then there was like there was a big like kind of riot in Odessa following it, like mutiny. That's what I was looking for, and in
I think sorry.
Yeah. No, I was going to say
I thought you were finished. Sorry.
set of steps that go like from up the main boulevard down to the seafront because it's on the coast, and there's a famous scene with like this pram prattling down the steps, and you like stare at the steps and what's going to happen to the baby, and there's someone at the top like
Anyway, I was going to say, I was like, that's the famous shot that people would probably know if they haven't actually heard of the thing. It's the baby going down the steps.
That was very good acting, by the way.
just indicative.
It's more like the Joker stairs.
We're just doing a read through, right? Okay, so on the second video.
Yeah, which one was that? Was it Wounds Upon My Skin? Was that the second one?
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
so like we went up to Manchester to do that in an old in this kind of industrial complex. There was like a studio, like a classic North England red brick, I guess 19th, early 20th century building that was kind of disused factory, but also functional in part. And it had a beautiful sign that was like, "Watch out for the crackheads because they will try and nick your gear." So it's like, yeah, welcome to 0161 type thing. And shout out to my sister who's in that because she did loads of. She's the lady doing the contortions and stuff in it.
Okay.
She competes in like pole and is invested in her fitness and stuff. So she did that, and then also there's some mirrors in that video. Me and my wife drove around Kent where we live, picking up random mirrors off Facebook, and I painted them to do that. And then shout out to my wife as well because we did a mammoth drive up to Manchester, picked up my sister, came back. It was pretty full on. But yeah, Dark North Media, Scott does that. He does loads of awesome videos, and he's previously filmed some playthroughs for me, which is kind of how I know him. And also shout out, I believe he started a wedding business.
Yeah, White North.
Which is White North, yes. Very marketing there. So yeah, shout out.
My favourite bit of trivia from that video is at the end when it's me in the mirror and I throw the hammer at it, smash the mirror. I missed, so it cuts to the mirror being hit by Josh throwing it instead.
I get all the bad luck.
Yeah, I didn't want to see. That was my tactical ploy. I missed on purpose, so Josh would have to take the bad luck.
Yeah, we paid them to go and throw the hammer. Everyone who was there, like Scott, his missus who was taking photos, my sister, my wife, everyone just walked as far away because Kate's quite like clumsy, let's say. So the prospect of Kate with a
Throwing the
hammer,
hammer backwards.
yeah, everyone was just like cover, move as far away as we can from Kate.
Yeah. If anyone comes to one of our shows in the future and Kate jumps in the pit with her guitar, just say like, give it a little bit more breath than you would normally because you might get chomped in the face.
Like when I twatted Nick, the guy who did the art, I twatted him in the head with my headstock once, and he was like bleeding, and I felt really. I was like, "Oh my god, this is awful! I'm so sorry." And he was like bleeding. He was like, "This is sick. I'm having a great time."
That's awesome, man. So, is your sister a gymnast, or what does she compete in?
Yeah, she's like president of the pole society at uni, but she's graduated now. But like, yeah, she's her core strength is incredible, and yeah, she's like does the splits, handstands, all that sort of stuff.
That's fucking crazy, man.
Yeah, she's good, man, at that stuff. Very impressive.
I was trying to see this part where you throw the hammer. Huh?
Yeah, like scary with the hammer.
It's in the outro bit right at the end.
Yeah, I was hoping it would be over. Oh,
Yeah,
here we go. Ah, there it is.
Awesome.
Clever camera editing there.
Yeah, we keep our circles close in Slicer, as this is showing. Like, got to keep your circles close, right?
So the last one, Interlocutor. Tell us a little bit about this one.
So that one came about because we wanted to do more of a sort of narrative video, just to sort of switch things up a bit. And I think the lyrics for Interlocutor were a bit more personal to Kate, so we wanted to do something a little bit more true to the lyrics that sort of faced the themes of the song head first and sort of created more of a sort of narrative idea for them, which I think came across really well in the end. I think it's like our lyrics. They're sort of, I think the video is open for interpretation, how you look at it, because there's a lot of visual, interesting things that happen in it. But I think the sort of narrative of it was about the sort of girl recalling her past self and her sort of trauma from her past with this younger version of herself, and them sort of ultimately making a connection at the end of the video. But yeah, we tried something a little bit different with that one. All of our videos have been I've loved all of our videos in different ways, but that one was definitely the most sort of true to the lyrics, I think, anyway.
It's also the most like production being put into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had like
Didn't get as many views, like half as many views, but cost 3 times as much.
Oh, did it really get like half as many views? That sucks.
But no,
I'm sure it'll pick up at some point. But yeah, it's I think Wounds
it's like
is such
a 1
a
minute
banger.
song. Wounds is more of a accessible banger, whereas Interlocutor's just like nonsense. Like someone who likes Slipknot could probably listen to Wounds, like if they'd never like listened to stuff more extreme, but Interlocutor like will filter people out like 30 seconds in when it just goes into like the blast beats with panic chords.
Alienate the maggots.
Sorry?
Alienate the maggots.
So why'd y'all pick that one then for a video?
I think I really liked it lyrically, which is why I wanted to do it, because I thought I'd done a really good job, like thematically and personally. Like I thought it was quite a good story-based video. The lyrics were, and then like I thought it was also a banger of a song. It's like one of my favorite Matthew bits on the album. It's just really intense, and it's got that's also the start of side B on the LP, so it's like a cool intro into stuff. Like I think I paced it quite well. I spent quite a lot of attention on pacing the album out with like so Wounds is like the end of side A on the LP with like the outro, and then like Interlocutor is like the start of the second half, and it's got like the swell at the start, and then I think it sort of leads really well into Mirrors, and I think it was just, it seemed to work. It seemed to be a good song to use. It also shows a very different side to Wounds, whereas Wounds is more 4 to the floor. Like it's got mathy bits, but it's a lot more conventional. And then Interlocutor's a lot more mathy, and also has the sassy vocals and stuff. And the whole song's like one big breakdown riff, getting more slow as it goes on.
Someone's got a little bit of static happening on their end every once in a while. I don't know where it's coming from. But so you guys released this through Prosthetic Records, which is a gigantic deal. Like I remember the announcement being up on Facebook and me going to go check out your profile and stuff. And like 1,700 people or something, like not super big. I was surprised that Prosthetic wanted to work with you guys being such a small band. Not that you guys don't deserve it. Your music's insane, but they usually don't work with bands of that size. So how did y'all get their attention? How did y'all get signed?
Yeah, it wasn't 1,700, it was 700 likes when we announced our signing.
Okay.
We're now at like 2,700 in like 3 months, which is insane. But exponential growth. Yeah. That I sent the album to them. Ped had said like we can use his name and we need to use all the names we can to like try and sell ourselves. So we're like, we're Pupil Slicer. We just recorded our album with Mike Manning of Monuments and Ped from Frontiera / Sections, blah blah blah. And I sent that off to loads of DIY labels and stuff. And then like on a limb, I was like, on a whim, not a limb. I was like, I'll just send this prosthetic. They've got loads of sick bands. They've got Gift from God, Vein, Wristmate Razor. Just sent it out. Didn't expect anything back. And like 3 hours later, Steve was just like, this is sick. He was a massive fan of Ped's work and Mike's, friend of Mike's, already. And I think if we hadn't worked with those people, we might not have got picked up. Like, he listened to it because he was like, he just responded to like, I listened to one song, it was great. Anything with Ped's name on it is worth my time. So I think if we hadn't had it was like who we knew and stuff and being in the right place at the right time. And I think a lot of it has been like right place at the right time. Like we've been doing really well with like getting articles about us, publicity, all the PR and stuff. And I think that's all just been right place at the right time because I don't think we're doing anything. There's two angles to it. Like, there is a combination of right place, right time, and another thing of like we want what we're doing to be as good as it can be, so we're taking our time with stuff. Like this album it was finished writing in like October 2018, and it wasn't mastered and done till like May last year. So it's been a long time coming. Like we wanted to make sure it came out as good as it could.
I think to summarize, it's like meticulous and
luck, both coincide.
I was gonna say fortuitous and meticulous.
Fortuitous and meticulous.
Fortuitous, thank you. Yeah, fortuitous and meticulous. A combination of the both can lead to great things.
What was the coolest bit of promotion that you guys had? What's the thing that you saw? You were like, holy crap.
You go, Josh.
For me, it was definitely getting played on BBC Radio 1 on the rock show. Like, it was picked up by Daniel P. Carter, who's sort of a big name in the rock and metal scene. And we were so surprised that when we got played by them, and that was a really cool moment because it was sort of, for me personally, it was like quite a I think metal, this sort of craziness of metal's really extreme and stuff, but I've found a bit of common ground because my parents obviously know BBC Radio, so we all listened to it together, and we're in this horrible lockdown at the moment, and it was just a really nice moment to have it sort of on our national radio. So that was so cool.
That is crazy.
The Radio 1 thing, definitely, because I've been listening to the Radio 1 rock show for like forever, and the punk show RIP, which isn't on the BBC anymore. But yeah, like Daniel P. Carter, I guess, is like, do you know who John Peel is?
No.
Well, he was like the kind of music mogul in the UK that discovered a lot of like those extreme, like a famous example is Napalm Death. So like he was on BBC Radio and he like championed Napalm Death and Carcass and Morbid Angel and all those like extreme metal bands from the 90s. And I guess obviously John Peel's passed now, but an equivalent to me at least would be Dan P. Carter, right? Given his position on the same station and stuff. So to me, it was kind of like, oh, damn. And yeah, as I was motioning, he's played us twice. So Dan,
cool as shit.
Third time, please, mate.
Yeah, I'd say that's the same, man. I also really like the Revolver piece that just came out. That's going to be in the spring issue. It's also on their website, and that was like a really in-depth chat. Although it's like, yeah, it's been made to sound a lot more like heavy than the conversation was when the interview. But I was just like chatting about my life, and then it ended up being like a super well written, like in-depth life story of like how I got to where I am with playing music. But that one's really cool.
I did read that article. It was really good.
It is. We've been reviewed by Dom Lawson a couple of times as well. Who's like,
not sure that
he's like editor-in-chief at Metal Hammer as well.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Like personally on Instagram, I have his thing when he's like listening to, and I'm like, oh, Dom Lawson's now listening to my band. That's great.
That's awesome.
Riot Act podcast, Rent Free's review of us was cool just because I've been friends with him for years. I met him in New York at Dangerous Escape Plan shows, and like I think he does stuff for like Hammer and loads of UK newspapers and stuff. And that was cool to hear his thoughts. And also the other guy on his podcast is another guy who works at Metal Hammer and wrote our reviews in Metal Hammer. So it's sort of everyone knows everyone.
I mean, on the Metal Hammer front, we also did an interview for Metal Hammer Greece, and we've got one coming up for another country.
We've got a feature coming up in Metal Hammer UK next month as well. Yeah.
So like
Metal Hammer Poland.
Where are they? Portugal, Spain, Germany, dear Metal Hammer.
Man, y'all's heads must be just spinning from all of this. Like, does it ever feel like overwhelming?
Yes.
That's very.
I wrote that same word to the guys this morning in our in our chat that we have. I said, "Are you not a bit overwhelmed?" And I said, "I am."
I ended up in hospital.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's related. I think I thought I was having like a heart attack the night we were played on Radio 1. It wasn't related to that. I just felt like that. I ended up in hospital, like got home and they were like, don't know what it was. It might have been like a panic attack or anxiety attack. And it was terrifying, but like, I think...
Yeah, it was an anxiety attack because you were like, oh no, more than 10 people might come and see us now.
But yeah, so I'm definitely feeling the pressure and stuff.
Yeah, the difficult sophomore album is already playing on my mind.
Right. You're gonna have to top this one next time around.
Only because, like, a consistent part of what nearly every single review says is this album is dope, but I can't wait to see what these guys do next. So, like, I was talking to my wife last night.
I don't feel the pressure because I've already written most of it, so I'm like, I know how it's going to be, so and I'm happy with where it's going. So
yeah, I was like, I
don't care what people think.
Bangers in the chamber.
I think the main things I take that I'm really happy about is all the things reviewers are saying is like, I want to hear more of this stuff. These are my favorite tracks and stuff. Those are the exact things which I've thought and am doing more of in the second one. So I'm like, perfect. Hopefully people will be happy.
It's definitely ratified a few things that I had doubts about on the album as well, which I think is good because it's good to know that sort of people are thinking the same things that we are about LP2.
What were some of the things you had doubts about?
I think like stuff to have like a little bit of more breathing room on the album. You know, maybe sort of home in the writing in sections. Maybe you know, more hooky, mathy bits of it, more mathy and interesting. Like I think we sort of already had them sort of thoughts, and then we sort of seen sort of similar people sort of say that they have them similar thoughts. I think a couple of production things people said, I was a bit like, oh yeah, I kind of
my production. I was not entirely happy with how the guitar tone came out on this, but where everyone's like the same things people don't like about the guitar tone when people have had a problem with it are the things I had. So there's not really been someone criticizing something I really liked about the album. It's just been stuff where I'm like, yeah, I felt the same. I would change that in future. And also like the main thing for people, it's like if this is all calculating infinity, the next album would be Miss Machine, and that is like a few people have said that like, is that the direction this is going to go? Because Collective Unconscious is more like that. And like, honestly, I've already been writing that, and like, it is that direction because it is like half the songs have clean choruses now. And like, whilst there's not less math, there's probably more math because the mathier bits are like unplayable to me at the moment, and I can't wait to have to learn them. It's going to be great.
And then LP3, we totally like just get rid of the math and we just go full metal. And it's like Merciful Fate and Judas Priest Ahoy. That's what I'm talking about.
That'll be great.
Yeah.
Get up there in full leather outfits and stuff and bring on the motorcycle, like, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, I mean, Kate could be the next metal god. You know what I'm saying? By the way, like, Judas Priest are meant to play a festival, one of the main festivals in the UK this year. And I so hope they do, because... Man, I fucking love Judas Priest.
I've never seen them. I really want to see them.
I think I saw him one time with what was it? what do you call him? Heaven and Hell. Ronnie James Dio
Nice.
fronting
Yeah,
Black Sabbath.
yeah,
Oh
man,
my
Sabbath.
god, dude! I was so glad I got to see that before he died. Like, oh, it was amazing.
I saw that at Hellfest, man. Like Dio.
Oh fuck yeah.
R.I.P. He's the real goat. He's the real goat.
True. So, what's it like being a band in Britain? Is there a huge scene for mathcore?
We're not like super in with the scene. Like we know all the. It's not like a one genre scene. It's like a general scene. We're definitely more in the hardcore scene than we are in a metal scene.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
There is a metal scene, like because when I was in my black and death metal band with the Corpse Paint, that was part of the metal scene, and all the metal
Dude,
bands
that's
knew each
awesome.
other. But now we're in like this the hardcore scene, and there's it's less. It's not a central thing. Like it's not like all the bands are in London. They're all over the country, but everyone knows everyone. Everyone's friends with everyone. Everyone's super nice, super kind people. Really cool bands. We haven't really played with the bigger names because I feel like they've sort of moved up a rung, whereas we're more in the like just playing local stuff with people. Like,
Well, now you've moved up that rung too. Like you're on that
well, I
level
don't know,
now.
like bands like Employed Servitica, Rolo Tomasi, Conjurer, Loathe are all like phenomenal bands. It'd be really cool if we get to play with them one day.
Hey, I know, like I have one of my bands who played with Employed to Serve in probably like 2016 in a place called Wellingborough.
Yeah, they've blown up like in the last 4 years. So I saw them like opening a free entry show in London with Full of Hell once.
Nice.
That was the first time I saw them. That was so sick.
We played with them in this pub, which is there's that meme of like the band looking at the stage and it's like, is that the stage? And it's like 2 feet wide. It literally was like that. Like the fruit machine was like behind the drum kit. A fruit machine being a slot machine.
Okay, I was gonna say, what the heck's a fruit machine? Okay.
A fruity being a slot machine. Not an actual fruit machine. Fruity. And like literally,
You don't have fruit machines in America?
Oh, we got
Yeah,
slot
no,
machines. We got
it's
slot
strange.
machines. There's vending machines that'll give you an orange or something, but I figure that's not what you're talking about.
no, the thing of that is they call them fruit machine because they've on the dials have like the fruit on, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
in London slang or whatever, that's called a fruity. Anyway, we played with Employed to
Just spent
Serve.
10 quid on the fruity.
I
Sorry.
swear to God, there was like, again, no more than 10 people there.
Yeah.
So maybe we're that like we're playing our gigs to 10 people, and then in 4 years we'll be on the cover of Kerrang like Employed to Serve. But I don't know. I'm not in it for the fame. I just want to play. I just want to have fun. Like we're only doing this because we have fun doing the music. We're not making money. We're fucking like
Hey,
6,000.
that's not true. We're getting cost neutral. We're getting cost neutral.
We're getting closer to cost neutral now, yeah. But we like poured so much money into this, and we're not in it to make money. Like the dream is the money we spend on the band we get back in like fans enjoying it and buying stuff, and then we can use that to make more music. Because like really, we just like really enjoy making this music, and we're playing.
Hey, they need the Metallica money.
I was gonna say you're gonna be rolling in that grindcore money pretty soon, you know.
I don't want to be I don't want to be suing people. Like, someone like earlier linked me like a raw site, like a site like that had like mirrored the album just to download for free to pirate it, and they were like, "Oh, you can click here if you want to get it taken down." I'm like, why would I want to do that? I want people to hear it. Like,
Right? Yeah, you're never gonna take them all down anyway. Like, and people can just listen to it on Spotify, so it's like it doesn't matter.
someone streams it, like 1,000 people stream a song, or one person illegally downloads the album and then buys a shirt. That one person who bought a shirt has done 10 times as much as the thousands of streams. So like,
Agreed.
fans is
I have a
To be true.
I have a personal rule, which is that I do download music illegally to listen to on my phone, so I don't want to use my data. But if I listen to that album more than 5 times, I have to buy it, because at that point,
Okay.
I actually quite like it. Like, that's my personal rule.
That's a good rule. I like it.
Or buy a shirt. In some way, support the band, because it's like, you need to stop taking the piss now and put it in your pocket and buy something. That's my rule.
So you guys have played some shows.
Pirate mirrors now. Sorry.
You guys have played some shows. What is your best show so far?
It's
I
not
really enjoyed the last
Slicer.
one.
One of my favourite shows I've ever played is one of my death metal bands got to support Decapitated. That's one of my favourite shows.
Ooh,
That's not
nice.
Pupil Slicer, mate.
Yeah, but he said, "What's your favourite show?"
Oh, what's your favorite Pupil Slicer show? How about that?
I really like playing at the Dev in Camden. The Dev's like a really famous metal bar. I guess a comparative one would be like St. Vitus or something, but way smaller. But yeah, that's like one of the main spots in London to play.
Yeah, we played there with Godmother.
Because like the sound desk is really small, like 12 track, like next to the till at the bar. It's like so small, but yeah, it's like one of the main metal spots in London. Playing there.
Yeah, the gig there was we were with Godmother, Elenchus, Dead Hands, Absentees, and another band. I'm sorry.
That's like one of those places that's on your bucket list, so you got to check it off.
But yeah, like Godmother there was insane. Like they were like climbing and everything, and we played quite early. We were meant to be like third up, but then like the two opening bands both were like, yeah, we're not going to be there in time, so we had to open instead. It was still like fairly busy, but by like the end of the night, it was packed, and Godmother were like climbing everything and hanging upside down off everything, and like, you know, the usual thing they do, like being like the band that Ben from Dylan just says is like the next Dillinger. Yeah, my favorite's probably like Josh was going to say one. I'll let him say his one. So I'll pick another one.
I agree.
Do you want to say yours first?
Oh, I thought you were like leading me in there. Sorry, go on.
Oh, okay. Well, I was just because you were going to say the Chinned one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll say like the Frontiera one. We played with Frontiera and like memed our way onto the show. The venue was like, "What UK band do you want to see support?" And we got all our friends to put Pupil Slicer there, despite none of them coming, and us like bringing no one to the show, which was really bad. But that gig was insane. Like we were playing and we looked out into the crowd. That was my first time on vocal duty as well, because our singer quit like 2 days before. I had to learn all the songs and play them at the same time, which was not fun, very scary. And then we looked out into the crowd and I was like, there's all of Employed to Serve. There's someone from like, okay, what other bands were there, Josh? Like,
I remember the dudes from Tesseract were there. I was like, damn. One childhood favourites. Yeah, that was really cool.
Did you like feel a lot of stress doing that and like seeing these bands that you look up to out there in the crowd watching you?
I think once you start playing, it's like it all goes, because it's just like,
yeah, it was really fun once we actually started playing. But I remember like we had like a little dressing room, and I was like poking my head onto the stage, and I was like, this is so much busier than our usual shows. And I think I actually remember doing all the sort of shtick between the sets. So I had like a little microphone set up just purely for that.
You were doing backing vocals then?
I did a little bit, yeah, but I think I wanted to like take the pressure off of Kate a little bit because she was doing the vocals for the first time. So I was like, I'll do all the shtick in between, and you can just like focus on that. But then obviously because I was doing crazy drumming, I was like, we're Pupil Slicer. Thanks everyone for coming out.
I have to
so
say,
unfit.
To give an outsider's perspective on that show, I didn't go to that show and I wasn't in the band at the time, but one of my very good friends, Slim Jim, James Humphreys went to that show, and he said, so I joined Pupil Slicer, and he went, Pupil Slicer, I saw them, and he was just sort of staring at me, and I said, well, what's the issue? And well, I wouldn't say it's bad, but it wasn't exactly right. And I was like, okay. And he went, the drummer was like out of breath and weird talking between the songs.
Awesome.
And then he's been to like most shows that we play. He's come to like a load of them, and he was like, since I kind of joined, it like filled the hole. And he was like, you guys are now like a unit. So yeah, and I was talking to him the other day. So you know, he's been with us since that point basically. So that's been a lot of evolution and growth since that point. I think my fellow bandmates would agree.
Did you say you had a dressing room for that show?
Yeah, we've had a dressing room at like 2 shows. I think 2 or 3.
Fancy.
It's very fancy. Well, so the other show where we got a dressing room, we were opening for this gig. It was like at Boston Music Rooms, which is like a pretty decent venue in London. We were like opening it. We played our set, had a great time, got like a bottle of whiskey between the 3 of us. This was before Luke joined. We finished that. We were really drunk, and then we were like, we should have just been like chill for the evening, but we were like, let's get another one. So we got another bottle of whiskey, started drinking that, and then like halfway into like the 3rd band, I like smashed my face. I was headbanging too hard, smashed my face into a monitor, and had to go to hospital.
Jesus.
I'm very accident prone, and I've still got like a scar on my face from that. So the lesson from then was like I've just stopped drinking really since. But yeah, that was so don't get drunk on the. Literally, and on having a dressing room.
Josh, what was your favorite show?
Oh yeah, I thought we should just sort of go off on one there. We did like a really sort of DIY punk show with our mates in Chind, who are all share the same members as Death Goals. So like the brainchild of Death Goals is our mate Harry, and he plays drums in Chind. And I think the vocalist is now the drummer of Death Goals, if that makes sense. And then, so like we played like a little DIY show of them, and it was our last one before lockdown, and it was pretty packed out. I think there's probably like 80, 90 people there in this like really tiny underground bit of a pub, and it was just really good times, drinking, chatting to friends in between sets, and like. All the bands were really good.
As well.
You know the thing about like shows like that, right? So hardcore shows, at metal shows, yeah, no one really cares about the earlier bands or before you play. So they'll just be outside having a smoke at the bar. At hardcore gigs, people actually just come and stand at the front and stare at you and wait till you play. And I remember we were like sound checking, and I was like, bam, gab, gab, bam, and then these hardcore kids were just like, yeah. I was like, okay, these guys are actually pretty intense. Let's see how this goes. But yeah, that show really popped off. And there was another band that played called
Shooting Daggers.
Shooting Daggers. Yeah, there's a couple of women in the, well, maybe they're all women in the band. There's like one guy, but yeah, they were like really cool like mathcore. Like I don't know, like a punk.
They were very punky, like Aussie punk. They were cool. They asked me to be their lead guitarist, and I was like, I can't travel to London more than I already do.
Yeah, they did actually. Yeah, that's true. They're good.
I would have done it but if I lived in London.
So what was y'all's worst show?
The one where I smashed my head and had to go to hospital.
I think the one that's on YouTube was pretty bad. Like we got one set on YouTube, and now it's got so many views because it's our only live one. But it wasn't that bad. But I remember a lot of things went wrong in that gig. The main thing was like I think like you fell over and like your guitar strap broke, so you had to play it on a stool.
Yeah, sit down and play on a stool because of the cursed cowboy hat we were wearing.
The cursed cowboy hat. Yeah, no, to be fair, you were sort of kneeling and someone like put the mic down so you could do your pedals. And then like in between a song, I was like, Christ's sake, can someone get Kate a stool, please? And then like someone brought over the stool. So at least then, like when the key change happens, you can like stand up off the stool and play it like this. But yeah, that was a weird show. But that was in Stevenage, where lots of the people we've spoken about, Chind, Death Goals, Everest Queen. Who else is in Stevenage? Skullfucked, who are awesome. Shout out to Maury. There's like a pub there called the Red Lion. So Stevenage is like near where Nebworth House is, which is like a famous rock, not venue, but like an outside space where they have had many famous rock events, like in the UK. And in the the Red Lion, they've got all the posters from like when Zeppelin played there in the 70s, and they had Sonosphere there, I think, as well, and like, you know, Genesis and the Stones and like all of that. But yeah, shout out to Stevenage, but maybe don't visit it because it's not that actually great.
Did you say there was a cursed cowboy hat?
Yeah,
we bought a cowboy hat up on the gig for the gigs. Yeah, anyway.
You bought it for the gig, and I wore it for that set, and then my guitar strap immediately broke at the start of the set, and then I wore it on my head for the rest of the set while sitting down playing. And I think there was one. I think there was one. Oh, you've got it.
This is the hat.
There was one other gig where I had that hat and stuff went wrong at that gig as well, I think.
Why do you still have it? If it's cursed, why do you still have it?
Luke enjoys cursed memorabilia.
The stream's gonna crash or something now.
Yeah. I was Dog Slicer.
You got that was my props. A dog and a.
Ooh, we got a little doggo. So we have a question that we ask everybody here. How do you dress your hot dogs?
I'm
Mustard.
to
Okay.
ketchup, onion,
Mustard.
cheese.
Just mustard?
No, hot mustard.
Hot mustard,
Like,
okay.
so really
Is that like
Yeah.
French mustard?
French mustard. Yeah, maybe a bit of mayo. Is that sacrilege?
Not really. It's weird, but you know.
Europeans are a lot more into mayo, right? Than Americans.
I like mayo. I wouldn't put mayo on my hot dog though. I think it's more like a ketchup and mustard kind of guy.
I'll go classic American ketchup, mustard, onion, maybe a bit of cheese.
Fried onions.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's
Fried
good.
onions, yeah. Lovely.
What about you,
Probs
Josh?
just ketchup for me.
Okay, simple man of simple taste. I like it.
Yeah. Sorry. It's a rubbish answer. Just some ketchup.
Hey, there you go, man. What was the last album you listened to?
I didn't know. Oh, I checked Last FM. Apparently, it was our album. I listened to it when it came out.
Oh,
Everyone else
okay.
was at midnight.
Trying to
but
beef
before-
up those streams.
Yeah, listening to it once.
On repeat.
We're now like 20k, and my one listen seems insignificant. The last actual album before that was Only Love by The Armed, which is
Nice.
really cool.
Yeah.
Like,
Mine is. I've been trying to get more into like doing exercise during lockdown.
Okay.
And get a bit more lean. And every single day for about a month, I've listened to Excalibur by Mind Force. you
Never
know
heard of
them?
them. No.
They're like this kind of hardcore band, I think, from New York, but it's like they play kind of Maiden-esque and like Priest kind of riffs with like a crossover vibe, but also like really straight up terror, madball kind of hardcore. And I just listen to that and punish myself. And I really should buy that one actually, by my own rules. It's sold out. So you go.
Buy a
John.
shirt.
I can't like they're like a hipster hardcore band apparently. I don't know.
Okay.
I can't buy any stuff. But yeah, Mindfuls, they're great.
Mine was do you know MF Doom, the rapper?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, nice. Well, you listen to Daggers.
Weirdly, like I was listening. I sort of went through a phase where I was listening to him loads, and then stopped listening to him, and then obviously we had the sad news that he passed away on New Year's Day, and I've sort of been diving a lot more into his like older albums. So I was listening to one of his like pseudonyms, Vaudeville Villain today,
It's a good one.
which I've heard quite a few times, but it's really weird. I was just sort of going through all the lyrics and stuff, because he's definitely one of them artists where you need to like read along because there's so many like double meanings and stuff. But yeah, I was listening to that again. It's a really good album.
I listened to that Doom album with one of the dudes from Wu-Tang. Is it like Ghostface? That's pretty good.
Ghostface, I haven't heard that.
Yeah. I think it's Ghostface. Anyway.
I
yeah,
never really
Doom.
listened to him. I just know who he is.
Yeah, he's good. He's a really good. Like, I don't really listen to much underground hip hop, but he's definitely one of my favorites. Like, I definitely fit the sort of archetype, just nerdy
On the-
sort of music guy who just only listens to MF Doom. But yeah,
On the
I do
hip-hop
really like him.
vibe- On the hip hop vibe, on the UK scene, Get's just put an album out, and that's pretty awesome. So, yeah, I try and listen to more grime than like US stuff, because with the guys from London and up north and stuff, with just the grime scene and like UK hip hop out in the West Country, they speak language that I talk about, and they use, you know, jokes and adages and stuff that I say, and I find I can relate to that more and vibe with it. But saying that, like, I love the game, so. I mean,
What was y'all's album of the year, either for last year up to now? I know it's pretty early in the year, so you might not have one, but yeah, last year then.
Too many to pick. Like last year, we had the Loathe album, we had the Code Orange album, we had the 156 Silence album. I got my 156
Hey,
Hey,
repping.
nice.
There was a couple more as well. Like I'm forgetting.
Okay, I'll hit some while you think, right? Because you mentioned this before we came on. I wrote some down. So you've got Exist, Egoista. They're on Prosthetic as well. That's like sort of spacey tech death. It's awesome. And Benighted, they're like a like death
Grindcore.
metal. Yeah. Oh, that's sick. But especially that track with the dude from Hatebreed on. That's jamming. There's a band called Fen from the UK that are like a post-black metal progressive band. They put out an album called Deadlight, which is amazing. I got to see them the last show before lockdown was to see Fen. That's great. Abysmal Dawn was fantastic, which is like really chatty, sort of aggressive death metal.
Yeah, those guys are
I
sick.
like that. Yeah, you know them. Yeah, they're great.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know Winterfelleth? They're like a UK black metal band. The kings of UK black metal. Winterfelleth was great. And I also wrote down that last year I listened to a lot of Trapped Under Ice and went back through their discog. In terms of this year, Humanity's Last Breath, that album is just mad. So many cool sounds on it and beatdowns. Wolf King, who I think actually are on Prosthetic as well. Yeah, Wolf King are pretty dope. And then yesterday, one of my good friends recommended a band called Turbulence, who I think are kind of like, I'm not sure where they're from. They might be like Turkish, from the Middle East or something, but it's like Dream Theater worship, and I love it.
I haven't heard any of those albums you just
So there you go,
mentioned. I wanted to shout out was the new Null album. They're like sick blackened grindcore.
Yeah, they're
Null,
fucking
yeah, Instis.
with the Scandinavian letter in it.
Yeah,
Yeah, they're really cool. They're
really cool.
What about your album of the year, Josh?
I'm always a little bit behind the curve. I'm sure there's stuff I still need to listen to, but I'd say the Loathe album was definitely my favourite because I just love, metal bands that sort of fuse other genres, and I think they really tapped into the sort of shoegazy, new metal sort of sound. It's like there's so many different stuff on that album, and I just really love it. And they recently put out the vinyl release of it, and I immediately bought it because I just love it, even though I'd already spent my vinyl allowance for the month. I just couldn't resist getting that one as well because I just love it. But yeah.
What about you, Katie? Did you say yours?
I can't pick one.
Oh,
I
okay.
really enjoyed your album, by the way.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
I'll put the Sounds of End Creation. That's my album of the year.
I appreciate that. That's about all I had, unless y'all had something else I wanted to bring up.
Can't think of anything.
Okay.
What's your favorite album of the year?
My album of the year. I actually did a interview with Taylor Bates and Carson Pace talking about our albums of the year for last year. We ended up picking our top 10, and it ended up we talked about 28 different albums. So it's insane what came out last year. Mine was Memory Palace from The God Awful Truth.
Oh, that was a sick one, yeah. Did Dial Mars come out last year? No,
Did what?
Was that?
That was 2018, I think.
Oh, Dial
Dial
Mars.
Mars.
I've lost track of time
2019.
completely.
This is very uncool. But I really liked the last Trivium album as well.
I got my new Bring Me the Horizon.
Yeah,
So good. So good.
Oh, there was one other
listened.
topic that we needed to touch
pretty good.
on. Do y'all have any touring plans in motion? Or I know there's still COVID and things, but are y'all working on anything right now?
Yeah, we're looking at stuff like early 2022. I think we've got something on the cards with like Palm Reader. We've been chatting with Svalbard. All is obviously not finalized. I think we're doing an anniversary gig for the album coming out on March 12th next year as well. So that will be like we'll actually get to celebrate the album then.
If people can't wait, we do have a little live thing. I won't reveal too much until we announce it all properly, but we have something plan to
film.
sort of tide everyone over.
So
Hopefully
y'all
we
aren't trying to do anything at the end of the year or anything like that?
No, not yet. I think stuff might get pushed back, so we're just like we'll take stuff when we're off it. But yeah, we're
Okay. I feel like next year is really safe anyway, so you know
next
that
year's
won't get
when's
like
gonna be the
canceled.
main. Yeah.
I
But
hope-
it's just so much effort getting stuff cancelled over and over. Like we've had a show that was booked for like May, and that's being pushed back like 3 times.
Yeah.
We were going to play with Pound. Do you know them? Like the,
Oh yeah. Pound.
yeah, that's Ryan. Like I listened to us and really liked us, and they were going to come over here. So maybe we'll do that at some point. Pound slap so hard.
Oh yeah.
So
Okay.
yeah.
Well,
I think
oh.
the gig that Kate referenced there was well, we might hopefully we get to play a show where there's a band from the UK called Cruelty. You actually quite like them, Chris.
Yeah. They're really good. They're really good. I'm actually trying to get them on the show.
Right, yeah. So
Yeah.
he asked us. One of the dudes in that band asked us to play. But I mean, the thing with that show is Cruelty were going to headline, and then do you know Renounced? Have you heard of Renounced? They're like a UK.
Sammy from Employed Serves in Renounced as well. It's like his main band. Employed
they're like a kind of classic 2000s metalcore band. Like, done really well. And they were like a kind of big deal, but they were like supporting.
Yeah, I think it's because Cruelty's on Church Road, and Church Road is Sammy and Justine from Employed Serves record label. So Sammy was like, "I'll get Renounced to play it."
Who else did they slate for that show? Do you remember?
I can't remember.
There's a lot of hardcore.
It was all
very hardcore.
yeah, let's go and play a hardcore show. And Kate's like, I'm scared of hardcore people. I'm like, no, it's fine.
Too much karate. Deturus V got my merch pre-order new drop coming this winter. We've got another drop coming sooner than that, like in a month or two. But that'll just be a like limited run share. We'll probably do something later on in the year though. Like it's not like that's it until our next album. I'm sure we'll come up with some stuff. We just want to make sure that like what we're doing's cool and people be interested and want it. So
yeah, and everyone who's waiting, it will be on the way soon. We're just waiting on LPs, but I've got all the merch and I'm just waiting to post it all out. People waiting on bundles if they're watching this.
A t-shirt design that I want to get off the ground one day, hopefully, is you know, like the Kill 'Em All cover. I kind of want to do that, but like slice them all and then have like a sort of Kate just like slicing something or her like silhouette.
Okay.
Have, like slicer with the end. Yeah. So hopefully, you know.
my only pushback on that is I don't like Metallica. So
Yes,
it's me ruining everything.
We need to think of the meme.
Yeah, it's the meme.
I kind of
made that
agree with you
shirt,
though.
but-
Metallica's very overrated.
See, we're
I'm fuming.
Josh does not agree. Josh does not agree.
No. Yeah, I know what you mean. They are bigger than metal almost, so I know what you mean. But I love Metallica, and I shan't have a bad word spoken about them on this.
I like Metallica, but I'm more Maiden. Personally.
I like Maiden a lot more. I like Maiden a lot. I like Megadeth a lot. I don't like Slayer. That's my sacrilege.
Radiant Blood is sick. But
Did
that's
anyone-
about it.
Did anyone ask us like cool questions that we totally like haven't addressed at all? Or anything like that?
I don't really think so. It's just a
No,
lot of
have the
love for
chance.
the new album, man.
Well, anyway, I appreciate all of that, and we all do as a group. It's beautiful.
So, if you'd like to get absolutely pummeled into oblivion, you should. Where was I? Yeah, you should. Oh my god, I totally messed this up. Let's do this again. If you'd like to get absolutely pummeled into oblivion, you need to drop what you're doing right now and check out Mirrors, the debut album from Pupil Slicer. You guys are on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Bandcamp, as well as all the streaming platforms. I see you also got a YouTube channel that hasn't been updated in a bit. Hopefully, we're getting some playthroughs pretty soon.
Yeah, we might do. I think we've got playthroughs on the card, so yeah, we'll get content out.
There's an old playthrough there. I have no beard. I look like a different person. Go and
Do you have any other social plugs that I missed?
We've got some of the. You can buy the vinyl and CD on Big Cartel.
Oh, true.
I don't know if you said that, but that's not really a social. That's like
No, yeah. We need to plug that. It's like Prosthetic Records, Big Cartel, or do y'all have one?
No, it's our one. It's pupilslicer.bigcartel.com.
Okay.
I don't think we're available on the prosthetic website. I haven't checked, but I don't know. It's the pupilslicer.bandcamp.com or pupilslicer.bigcartel.com.
Okay.
And just one more. We do have a little bit of leftover merch from when we did a little drop with the first single. So we've got one beanie left and like 2 shirts. So if anyone's really desperate for merch and like them designs, they're still. If you go to our Bandcamp and go on the merch page,
we've got 3 album shirts left as well.
Just like an image of the album cover on your shirt.
No, it's like we got designs commissioned. I think they're pretty cool. It's like glitchy.
One of those designs. I think on a white T-shirt with like.
Yeah, I think we'll put do like an album cover thing at some point. But yeah.
As for me, drop my channel follow so you always know when I go live. You can also sub to get access to the interviews before they hit YouTube and streaming services, as well as access to some exclusive emotes. If you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. YouTube folks, if you like the video, please drop a like, tickle the notification bell, and don't forget to subscribe. It's a great way to support me for free. Check out my music, The Sound That Ends Creation, at thesoundthatendskreation@bandcamp.com. My next guest is Michigan-based post-hardcore band Youth Novel. Join us this Wednesday, the 17th at 7 p.m. Central, right here at twitch.tv/thecassetenscreation. Thank you for being here, guys. Hope you all had a good time.
Thanks. I'm going to celebrate. I'll play out the 43rd episode with.
Nice.
It had to be done.
And
it's the mathcore number.
It's the mathcore number.
Mathcore number. And thank you guys for watching and listening.